Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today, and really appreciate y'all taking a little bit of time to watch the video. And today I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the Bass Pro Shop $1 million tournament that was at Tabor Rock Lake about a week ago. And I sort of want to be a little bit critical of this tournament, and I'm going to give you guys my opinions on it, my viewpoints, and sort of like, sort of play devil's advocate a little bit about what I would have done different if I was in charge of the tournament. And I'd be curious to hear your guys' opinion too. If you guys got some type of feeling one way or the other on it, shoot me a comment. I'd love to hear that. Just real quick before we get started here, just our weekly housekeeping tips. You guys hadn't had a chance to head over to fishthemoment.com. Head on over to check out all of our winter lake map breakdowns that myself, Johnny, and Matt Steffen's putting out. Got a ton of winter breakdowns. We got spring, summer, fall, all your favorite lakes. You can check them out on fishthemoment.com. And also, if you guys are interested in becoming members of my channel, if you want to support what I'm doing here, the best way to do it is to go to my YouTube homepage, go to the About section, click on Intuitive Memberships, and it gives you all the info about how you can become a member of the channel and really help support what I'm doing here if you want to do that. Okay guys, let's talk about this whole Johnny Morris Bass Pro $1 million tournament deal. I got quite a bit to say about this actually. First of all, I want to sort of give a critique on it, and I also want to give a shout out. There was $1.5 billion raised for conservation efforts, which is a good thing. But basically, let's call the tournament for what it is, guys. This was a way to sell White River Marine Group boats. You had to have a boat that was made by White River Marine Group, which I believe is Tracker, Nitro, Triton, Rangers. There's some others I can't remember, but in order to enter the tournament, you had to have one of Johnny Morris's brand boats. So ultimately, the whole thing was about selling boats. I'm sure there was a ton of boats bought and sold. It probably swayed a lot of people's decisions if they were looking for a boat to buy one to try to get in this tournament. So I think that's pretty much the reality behind it, which is, from a business standpoint, I mean, it's probably a great business move from that standpoint. The point I want to make with it is Johnny Morris, obviously, has been a tremendous contributor to conservation efforts, and that was a primary focus of this tournament. And what I want to pose to Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops, if you guys are interested in the conservation aspect of this tournament each year becoming the priority and the most important aspect of it, you have to treat it as such. So here's what I would like to see in the thing. First of all, I don't think the tournament should just be open to amateur anglers. Open the tournament up to anyone that wants to get in it, any person that wants to get in it, because I don't understand why one group of anglers should be given sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity and discriminate against others. I don't think that's going to affect the turnout in the tournament. I think you're still going to get full fields in all the qualifiers. Open it up to everybody, pros, amateurs, whatever. I think probably if there was a lot of good top pros in the tournament, I think that would be a big draw for, the amateurs to want to get into it. And that's one of the things that myself and a lot of pros did not agree with, that nobody had a chance to win that $1 million purse unless you were an amateur angler. And also, I believe that there was a real gray area on what they considered amateurs, because there was a lot of dudes in that tournament that I know for sure had won more money than what was said that you could win to get into that thing. I think it was pretty loosely, policed as far as that end goes there. Another thing with that is obviously, Johnny Morris is not going to open this thing up to other boats being in the tournament, but if it's a conservation effort put forth by a Bass Pro, again, don't discriminate and don't, limit the contestants to just people that support the Bass Pro brand. If Bass Pro Shops and Johnny Morris really wants to make a big effort, a big push for conservation in this tournament, open it up to every person, every boat manufacturer out there that can get in this tournament. Also, as far as how the tournament's run on that, the qualifiers, obviously you have to narrow it down somehow, and I think that probably, having 8 or 10 qualifiers is a good thing. But as far as those qualifiers go, once somebody gets in the tournament, once they determine, you know, who the field is that'll fish in the championship for the big money, a couple of different things on there. First of all, don't give $1 million to first place, because spread it out down the list. And what I mean by this is bass tournaments, guys, have historically basically been winner-take-all events. I mean, they're the big draw in tournaments is you dangle this carrot out for $1 million first prize, or whatever, or, you know, $1 million for the Forrest Wood Cup, or $500,000 for the Classic. My stance on the thing is, like, take that $1 million and spread it out over the top 10. You know, every angler, every team out there can still win over $100,000. Spread it out a little bit. Don't have, you know, one team win $1.3 million, and if they catch a pound more than somebody that finishes 10th and gets chicken feed compared to that. Spread it out, you know, down the top 10. Along with that, and the main thing that I would change in this thing is I would put more of an emphasis on getting a larger sum of money made to be donated to the conservation efforts. Put a percentage of the entry fees in it, get it from sponsors, get it from the boat sales, whatever. But when you're talking about the money that was generated in this tournament through entry fees and revenues, and only having $1.5 million going to conservation efforts, that sort of takes away from, to me, the legitimacy of the background of that tournament. Also, while it's great to spend $1.5 million on putting brush piles in lakes, my advice would be to take half of that money and, you know, get some type of organizational format together on an environmental level that would police and, you know, maybe push lawsuits against some companies that are polluting our lakes and waters. You know, if we have environmental issues that are degrading water quality, that are increasing mercury contamination, you know, use that money to challenge and, you know, create legislation, or, you know, put a stop to some of the, you know, the pollution, the point source pollution that's going into our lakes across the country, guys, because it's everywhere. Every state in the United States of America, every single state has some type of warnings for mercury contamination in the lakes and rivers as far as fish consumption. Every single state does. To me, that's totally unacceptable. And Bass Pro Shop's in the position where they can force and they can put pressure on those companies that are polluting our lakes and rivers, because you know, ultimately it doesn't. Nothing else matters if we don't have clean air and water. What's it matter? Would you rather have a tax break or clean air and clean water? So from that standpoint, I wish we could put half the money into the environmental protections of the lakes and waters, and then again half of it into whatever conservation efforts. And, you know, habitat restoration is a good effort to put in there. But that habitat restoration can come in a lot of different forms. It doesn't just have to come in forms of brush piles, which are temporary. It can come in you know, rock reefs being built. It can come in planting aquatic bank grasses, restocking efforts. I mean, there's a lot of different things that the conservation side of it can come into. So anyway, I just, you know, I'm sort of like a lot of people out there. I'm sort of torn 50-50 on this whole concept. You know, there's some good points about it, but then again, there's some self-serving points about it that I don't think have been stressed enough. You know, ultimately, you know, Bass Pro Shops, Johnny Morris, it's a business. You know, it was a business move, a business decision to do that. You know, I'm sure they made millions of dollars on boat sales from the course of it, and they plan to keep doing it every year, as far as I know. And hopefully next year, you know, maybe we'll see a little bit more of that, like the suggestions that I made on it. But what do you guys think, man? Tell me what you guys think of this tournament. Do you guys like it? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a positive thing? Do you think it needs to be changed? What would you change if you could do it? That's just sort of some thoughts off the top of my head there. So I want to throw that video out there, guys, real quick. Again, thanks for watching. Much appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And talk to y'all later. See you.